They said it couldn't be done. The words echoed through the empty halls of that small-town library where a young student spent countless hours studying while others played. Those same words bounced off the walls of a tiny apartment where a single mother planned her future by candlelight after putting her children to bed. They whispered through the pre-dawn silence as a factory worker rose before the sun, determined to build something greater. They said it couldn't be done. These 5 words have preceded every great achievement, every breakthrough, every moment when the human spirit rose above its circumstances to prove the doubters wrong. These words aren't chains to bind us, they're fuel to fire our determination. You're here today because something inside you knows there's more. More than the labels others have placed on you. More than the limitations you've accepted. More than the story you've been telling yourself. That spark of knowing, that's what we're going to kindle into a flame. Consider the quiet power of a seed breaking through concrete. It doesn't question its strength. It doesn't hear the whispers saying the concrete is too thick, too hard, too impossible to breach. The seed simply grows, following its nature, pushing upward with quiet, unstoppable force until the barrier cracks and light streams in. You are that seed. And the concrete? Those are the expectations others have placed upon you. The judgments, the casual dismissals, the raised eyebrows when you dare to speak of your dreams, the patronizing smiles when you share your ambitions. But let me tell you something about those who underestimate you. They're not your enemy. They're not even obstacles. They are simply people who have accepted limits in their own lives and assume you must accept the same. Their doubt isn't about you. It's about their own abandoned dreams, their own surrendered ambitions. What they don't understand is that greatness doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for approval. It doesn't require anyone else's belief to become real. The only permission you need to achieve greatness is your own. Think back to the first time someone underestimated you. Remember how it felt. That hot flush of anger or shame. That moment when their words tried to define your future. Now here's the crucial question. What did you do with that feeling? Did you let it become a wall, or did you transform it into a ladder? There was once a young man who struggled to read. His teachers labeled him slow. His classmates mocked him. Even his family began to accept that he would never achieve much academically. But in the quiet hours after school, he didn't accept their verdict. He worked twice as hard, 3 times as hard, breaking words into pieces, rebuilding them, refusing to let letters remain enemies. Today he's a professor of literature, teaching others the very subject that once seemed beyond his grasp. This isn't just a story about overcoming reading difficulties. It's about the power that lies in refusing to accept other people's limitations as your destiny. It's about understanding that every person who underestimates you is handing you a gift, the gift of being underestimated. Being underestimated is like having a secret weapon. While others sleep soundly, confident in their low expectations of you, you're free to work, to plan, to build, to grow. Their underestimation creates a blind spot, and in that blind spot, you can create something extraordinary. Consider the advantage of being underestimated. When people expect little from you, they don't watch you closely. They don't scrutinize your every move. They don't pressure you with their expectations. This is your opportunity to work in peace, to develop your skills without the weight of others' judgments. But here's where many people make a crucial mistake. They work to prove others wrong. This is a trap. The moment you make your journey about proving others wrong, you've given them power over your motivation. Your success becomes dependent on their recognition of their mistake. That's not freedom. That's just another form of chains. Instead, work to prove yourself right. Work because excellence is its own reward. Work because growth is the natural direction of life. Work because every skill mastered, every challenge overcome, every small victory achieved is a brick in the foundation of the life you're building. The truly successful don't waste energy trying to convince doubters. They're too busy working, learning, growing, building. They understand that the sweetest victory isn't hearing someone say, "I was wrong about you." The sweetest victory is the quiet moment when you look in the mirror and see someone who kept their word to themselves. How often have you dimmed your light because others found it too bright? How many times have you downplayed your ambitions because someone else found them threatening? How often have you apologized for your dreams? Starting today, that stops. Starting today, you embrace the full voltage of your potential. Starting today, you understand that other people's inability to imagine your future has nothing to do with your ability to create it. But let's be clear about something. This isn't about proving your worth through achievements alone. Your worth isn't in question. Your worth was established the moment you drew your first breath. What we're talking about is living up to your own standards, not anyone else's. The path ahead won't be easy. When you begin to rise, you'll face a new kind of resistance. People who are comfortable with the old you may become uncomfortable with your growth. They might try to pull you back to their level of expectation. They might question your changes, challenge your new directions, or try to remind you of who you really are. Remember this: their resistance is a reflection of their own fears, not your limitations. When people try to hold you back, they're usually standing still themselves. Your growth reminds them of their own untapped potential, and that can be uncomfortable. Some will say you've changed, and they'll be right. Growth is change. A tree doesn't apologize for growing taller. A flower doesn't apologize for blooming. The moon doesn't apologize for glowing. Neither should you. The quiet power of consistent action. While others are waiting for motivation, waiting for permission, waiting for the perfect moment, you're going to be building. Every single day you're going to lay one brick. Maybe it's 15 minutes of study. Maybe it's one page of writing. Maybe it's making one more sales call when everyone else has gone home. These small actions might seem insignificant in the moment, but they're the foundation of everything extraordinary. You see, most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. They want the mountain to bow before them, but they won't take the first step up its slope. They want the ocean to part, but they won't get their feet wet. They want transformation without change, victory without battle, success without growth. But you're different. You understand something they don't, that every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once a beginner. Every success story started with someone who didn't know what they were doing but did it anyway. The only difference between a master and a beginner is that the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Consider the sculptor working with a block of marble. To the untrained eye, those first strikes of the chisel might look like destruction. Pieces falling away, rough edges everywhere, no clear form emerging. The observers might shake their heads, might whisper that the sculptor is ruining perfectly good marble, but the sculptor sees what they don't, the figure waiting to be released from the stone. You are both the sculptor and the marble. Every choice you make, every habit you build, every challenge you face, is a strike of the chisel, revealing the masterpiece within. Some people will only see the dust and debris of your transformation. They'll focus on your struggles, your setbacks, your moments of doubt. Let them. Your job isn't to convince them, it's to keep sculpting. There's a particular kind of strength that comes from being underestimated. It's like training with weights while others think you're just playing with rocks. Every doubt they cast becomes another weight on your bar. Every dismissal becomes another mile in your training. Every "you can't" becomes fuel for your "I am." But here's something crucial to understand. The goal isn't to become superhuman. The goal is to become fully human. To embrace every part of yourself, your fears, your doubts, your stumbles, your victories. To understand that your imperfections aren't obstacles to your greatness, they're part of your greatness. The times you've fallen short, the times you failed, the times you faced your own doubts in the mirror. These moments aren't your weakness, they're your wisdom in the making. Every setback is setting you up for a comeback, every failure is fertilizer for future success. There's a story of a pottery teacher who divided their class into two groups. The first group was told they would be graded solely on the quality of a single pot they would make during the semester. The second group was told they would be graded on the quantity of pots they made. The more pots, the better the grade. When the semester ended, something interesting emerged. The highest quality pots were all produced by the group graded on quantity. Why? Because while the first group sat theorizing about perfection, the second group was learning from actual experience. The lesson is clear. Excellence isn't born from theory. It's born from practice, from doing the work, from getting your hands dirty, from being willing to create something imperfect today so you can create something better tomorrow. You might be sitting there thinking, but you don't understand my circumstances. You don't know what I'm up against. And you're right, I don't. But I know this. Circumstances don't determine destination. They determine starting point. Your circumstances might determine where you begin, but they don't have to determine where you end. Look at your hands for a moment. Really look at them. These hands might be calloused from labor or smooth from office work. They might be young and strong or weathered by time, but these hands, your hands, hold more power than any circumstance. These hands can write your future. These hands can build your dreams. These hands can reach out for help when you need it, and reach back to help others when you're strong. When people underestimate you, they're actually doing you a favor. They're creating a gap between their expectations and your potential. That gap is your advantage. While they're looking at your past, you're building your future. While they're measuring you by their limitations, you're expanding beyond them. But let's talk about something that might be uncomfortable. The times when you've underestimated yourself. The times when you've been your own worst critic. The times when you've let that inner voice of doubt drown out your inner voice of courage. This is normal. This is human. This is part of the journey. The key is not to silence that doubting voice. That's impossible and unnecessary. The key is to let it speak. Acknowledge it. and then gently but firmly remind it that you're not looking for its permission. You're not asking if you can. You're showing that you will. Think of doubt as a guard dog. Its job is to protect you from danger, from failure, from pain. But sometimes that guard dog becomes overzealous, barking at every opportunity, growling at every chance for growth. You don't need to get rid of the dog. You just need to train it. Teach it the difference between real threats and growing pains. Every time you take action despite doubt, you're training that inner guard dog. Every time you step forward despite fear, you're teaching it that growth isn't danger. Every time you survive a failure, you're showing it that setbacks aren't fatal. This is how you build unshakable confidence, not by eliminating doubt, but by acting in its presence. Not by becoming fearless, but by becoming intimately familiar with fear and moving forward anyway. This is real courage, and it's available to you right now in this moment. There's something powerful that happens when you stop asking for permission to be great. When you stop waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Okay, now it's your turn to shine." That moment of claiming your own power, that's when everything begins to shift. Let me tell you about a profound truth that most people never grasp. The world doesn't hand out permission slips for greatness. It never has. Every significant achievement in human history began with someone who refused to wait for approval. Someone who looked at the accepted limitations of their time and said, not with arrogance, but with quiet determination, "Those limitations don't apply to me." The Wright brothers in their bicycle shop. The experts said human flight was impossible. The newspapers mocked their efforts. Even their own father had doubts. But they didn't seek permission from the experts. They didn't wait for the newspapers to believe in them. They simply got up every morning and went to work on their impossible dream. This isn't just about dramatic breakthroughs or world-changing inventions. It's about the daily choice to live beyond the boundaries others have drawn for you. It's about the quiet revolution that happens when you decide to stop accepting other people's definitions of what's possible for you. Consider how often we let other people's expectations become our limitations. You're not the type who. People like us don't. In our family, we've always. These phrases are like invisible fences keeping us confined to someone else's vision of who we should be. But here's what they don't tell you about those invisible fences. They only have power if you believe in them. The moment you stop believing, they become as insubstantial as morning mist. You can walk right through them. There's a particular kind of magic that happens when you start living beyond other people's expectations. At first they might not notice. You're making small changes, taking small steps, laying foundations they can't see. This is good. This is your time to build strength without scrutiny. Then something interesting begins to happen. The small changes start adding up. The daily disciplines begin to show results. The quiet commitments you made to yourself begin to bear fruit. And people start to notice. Some will be uncomfortable with this new version of you. Some might try to remind you of who you really are. Some might even try to pull you back to their level of expectation. And this is when you need to understand something crucial. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Their comfort with your growth is not your concern. Your only obligation is to the truth within you, to the potential that's burning to be expressed. The fear of outgrowing others. Maybe you felt it. That hesitation to shine too brightly because it might make others feel dim. That impulse to downplay your achievements because they might make others uncomfortable. That tendency to shrink yourself to make others feel bigger. But consider this. Your growth isn't a threat to others unless they've chosen to remain stagnant. Your success doesn't diminish anyone else's possibilities. Your light doesn't steal anyone else's chance to shine. In fact, when you fully express your potential, you give others permission to do the same. You might be wondering, but what if I fail? What if they were right about me? Here's the truth about failure that nobody tells you. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every failure is a lesson if you're willing to learn from it. Every setback is a setup for a comeback if you refuse to let it define you. How a diamond is formed. It doesn't come into being under gentle circumstances. It requires intense pressure, tremendous heat, and time. The very forces that could destroy a weaker substance are what transform carbon into diamond. Your challenges, your struggles, your moments of intense pressure, these aren't obstacles to your transformation. They're essential to it. But there's something even more important than handling failure. It's learning to handle success. Small successes, early wins, first steps forward. These moments are crucial because they're evidence that change is possible. They're proof that your efforts are bearing fruit. But they're also dangerous because they're when many people stop. They achieve their first goal and think they've arrived. They get their first taste of success and become satisfied. They make their first breakthrough and lose their hunger for growth. Don't let this be you. Let every success become a foundation for the next level of growth. Remember this. The journey of shocking those who underestimated you isn't about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's not about revenge, it's about revelation. It's about revealing the truth that was always there beneath the labels, beneath the limitations, beneath the low expectations. There's a Zen saying that goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The same principle applies to achievement. Before success, do the work. Stay disciplined, remain focused. After success, do the work. Stay disciplined, remain focused. The only thing that changes is your understanding of why you do what you do. You're not working to escape your current circumstances. You're working to create your future circumstances. You're not fighting against who you were. You're building who you're becoming. You're not trying to prove the doubters wrong. You're proving your own beliefs right. This journey of transformation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about stripping away the limitations, the false beliefs, the accumulated layers of you can't and you shouldn't and you'll never until what remains is your authentic power. The power of the long game. In a world obsessed with overnight success, immediate results, and instant transformation, playing the long game feels almost revolutionary. But here's the truth. Every meaningful change, every lasting transformation, every genuine breakthrough happens through sustained effort over time. Consider how water shapes stone. Not through force, but through persistence. Not through single dramatic moments, but through countless small interactions. Drop by drop, day after day, the water moves over the stone. Each individual drop seems insignificant. You could watch for hours and see no change. But return years later, and you'll find the stone transformed. Your daily actions are like those drops of water. Each one might seem small, insignificant even. Reading one more page when you're tired, making one more attempt when others have quit, taking one more step when the path seems endless. These moments might not feel dramatic. They might not look impressive to others. But they're reshaping your reality, drop by drop, day by day. There's a particular kind of strength that comes from choosing the long game. It's not the showy strength of lifting heavy weights or the dramatic strength of sudden bursts of effort. It's the quiet strength of showing up every day, the steady strength of keeping promises to yourself, the enduring strength of staying true to your course when no one else believes in the destination. But let's be honest about something. The long game isn't glamorous. It's not the stuff of highlight reels and viral moments. It's about doing the right thing when no one's watching. It's about maintaining your standards when no one would know if you lowered them. It's about continuing to build even when it seems like nothing is happening. This is where most people falter. They can handle the big moments. They can rise to obvious challenges. They can find strength for dramatic situations. But the quiet Tuesday afternoons, the regular Thursday mornings, the ordinary moments when history isn't watching and the spotlight is elsewhere, that's where real transformation happens. How a book is written. Yes, there are moments of brilliant inspiration. Yes, there are times when the words flow like magic. But most of it happens one word at a time, one sentence at a time, one paragraph at a time. The author sits down day after day, whether inspiration is present or not, whether the words come easily or not, and does the work. Your life is the book you're writing. Every day you're adding to the story. Some days might feel like filler chapters. Some might feel like plot twists. Some might feel like dead ends. But as long as you keep writing, keep moving forward, keep adding to the story, you're creating something meaningful. This is where being underestimated becomes your secret advantage. When others have low expectations of you, they're not watching closely. They're not monitoring your progress. They're not counting your steps. This gives you the freedom to fail forward, to learn from mistakes, to experiment and grow without the weight of constant scrutiny. But here's something crucial to understand. The goal isn't to suddenly reveal your transformation like a magician pulling back a curtain. The goal is to become so solid in your growth that when others finally notice, it's not a revelation, it's simply a recognition of what's been happening all along. How a tree grows. It doesn't grow to impress anyone. It doesn't grow to prove its critics wrong. It doesn't grow to shock those who doubted it could reach such heights. It grows because that's what trees do. It grows because that's its nature. Your growth should be just as natural, just as inevitable, just as true to your nature. There's a freedom in this approach. When your growth isn't about proving others wrong, but about proving yourself right, you're no longer bound by their expectations or limited by their doubts. You're free to grow in whatever direction calls to your soul. But let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: the importance of celebrating small victories. Not in a showy way, not to prove anything to anyone else, but to acknowledge your own progress. To remind yourself that movement is happening, that change is occurring, that growth is taking place. These celebrations don't need to be grand gestures. Maybe it's taking a moment at the end of the day to acknowledge what you've accomplished. Maybe it's writing down your small wins in a journal. Maybe it's simply allowing yourself to feel good about staying true to your path for another day. This practice of acknowledging progress is crucial because transformation isn't always visible from the inside. Like someone looking at their own reflection every day, you might not notice the gradual changes, but they're happening. Every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you pick yourself up after a setback, every time you take one more step forward, you're changing. There's a particular kind of satisfaction that comes from knowing you're on the right path, even when others can't see it yet. It's like being a gardener who's planted seeds. You know there's activity beneath the soil long before any sprouts break through. You know transformation is happening even when the surface looks unchanged. This is where real confidence comes from. Not from external validation, not from proving others wrong, not from dramatic displays of success. Real confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. From knowing that, day after day, you're showing up for your own growth. From being intimately familiar with your own capacity for transformation. Consider how differently you move through the world when you're no longer seeking approval or trying to prove your worth. There's a lightness to it, a freedom. You're no longer bound by others' expectations or limited by their imagination. You're free to grow, to expand, to become. There comes a moment in every journey of transformation when you realize something profound. The person you're becoming isn't a stranger. It's not someone else you're trying to be. It's the truest version of who you've always been, finally breaking free of the limitations others placed upon you. This journey isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about peeling away the layers of doubt, fear, and false limitations until what remains is your authentic power. The power that was always there, waiting to be claimed. A master craftsman working with wood. They don't force the wood to become something entirely foreign to its nature. Instead, they study the grain, understand the natural strengths and characteristics of the material, and work with these qualities to reveal the beauty that was always present within. You are both the craftsman and the material. Your choices, your actions, your daily disciplines, these are your tools. But the potential you're working to reveal, that's been there all along. Every person who underestimated you simply failed to see the masterpiece waiting to emerge. But here's something crucial to understand. The moment of shocking those who underestimated you isn't the goal. It's just a milestone on a much longer journey. The real victory isn't in their reaction to your transformation. It's in your own recognition of your power. Consider how a butterfly emerges from its chrysalis. The struggle to break free is essential to its development. If someone with good intentions were to cut open the chrysalis to help the butterfly, they would actually doom it. The butterfly needs the struggle. The resistance strengthens its wings, preparing it for flight. Your struggles serve the same purpose. Every resistance you face, every doubt you push through, every limitation you overcome, these aren't obstacles to your success. They're essential elements of your development. They're building the strength you'll need for the journey ahead. There's a particular kind of wisdom that comes from proving yourself right. Not proving others wrong. That's a lower form of victory. But proving yourself right. That's about honoring the voice within that always knew you were capable of more. That's about validating your own inner truth, all the moments that have led you to this point. The times you chose to keep going when quitting would have been easier. The times you chose growth over comfort. The times you chose your future over your past. None of those moments were wasted. None of those efforts were in vain. They were all part of building who you are becoming. But let's talk about something that might seem counterintuitive, the importance of gratitude toward those who underestimated you. Not because they were right, but because they provided the resistance that made you stronger. Their doubt became the wind beneath your wings. Their limitations became your launching pad. This isn't about forgiveness in the traditional sense. It's about understanding that every person who said you couldn't, every circumstance that seemed to be holding you back, every situation that appeared to be a disadvantage, these were all part of your preparation. They were building your strength, developing your character, preparing you for the heights you were meant to reach. There's a certain poetry in the fact that those who tried to define your limitations actually helped define your strength. Those who tried to clip your wings actually taught you how to soar. Those who tried to write your story actually gave you the motivation to pick up the pen and write it yourself. But now let's look forward. Because this journey of transformation, it's not ending. Every level of success you reach becomes the foundation for the next level of growth. Every milestone you achieve becomes the starting point for the next phase of your journey. The question isn't, what will others think when they see how far you've come? The question is, how far can you go when you're no longer bound by what others think? The question isn't, how can you prove them wrong? The question is, how can you prove yourself right in even bigger ways? The ripple effects of your transformation. Every time you push past a limitation, you're showing others what's possible. Every time you refuse to be defined by someone else's expectations, you're giving others permission to do the same. Your journey isn't just about you, it's about expanding what's possible for everyone who sees your example. But remember this: you don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You don't need to justify your transformation. You don't need to defend your success. The results will speak for themselves. Your life will become your argument. Your growth will become your evidence. The time for small thinking is over. The time for accepting other people's limitations is past. The time for waiting for permission is done. This is your moment to claim the power that was always yours. This is your time to show what's possible when someone refuses to be defined by others' expectations. Your future is not a gift someone else can give you. It's not a permission slip someone else can sign. It's not a validation someone else can provide. Your future is a territory you claim through your choices, your actions, your commitment to growth. And so let them underestimate you. Let them doubt. Let them dismiss your dreams as too big, your goals as unrealistic, your ambitions as improbable. Their underestimation is your opportunity. Their doubt is your fuel. Their dismissal is your motivation. Because here's the truth: the greatest shock isn't the moment when others finally see what you're capable of. The greatest shock is the moment you fully realize it yourself. The moment you understand that you were never bound by their expectations. The moment you recognize that their limitations were never yours to carry. This is your time. Not because someone else decided it was. Not because circumstances aligned perfectly. Not because the world finally gave you permission. This is your time because you decided it was. Because you chose to claim it. Because you committed to becoming the person you were always meant to be. The journey continues. The story unfolds. The transformation deepens. And with every step, with every choice, with every moment of growth, you're not just shocking those who underestimated you. You're showing them what's possible when someone refuses to accept anything less than their full potential. Rise. Grow. Transformation. Not for them, but for the truth within you that's burning to be expressed. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Not to shock them, but to shock yourself with the depths of your own potential. The future belongs to those who dare to claim it. Claim yours. Starting now. Starting today. Starting this very moment. The world is waiting to be amazed by what you'll become when you finally unleash your full potential. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning. Your beginning. On your terms, at your pace, in your way. The only question that remains is, how far will you go now that you've broken free of their expectations? The answer: as far as you dare to dream, as high as you dare to reach, as deep as you dare to grow. The journey continues, and the best part, you're just getting started.